Okay, start!
Hey cycling community, this is Steve Grusis, the Cycling Greek. This is the first of two 20-minute uphill races done in Covid-19 fashion. I actually tried this a couple weeks ago, but I did it with a teammate who was a much stronger climber than I was. Even though it was a good workout for me, after a while, I never even saw the guy. I made the comment a couple of weeks ago that Gary took off like he was shot out of a cannon, and I tried to keep pace with him, and that didn't do me any favors. In today's race, Dave also took off very strongly, but not like he was shot out of a cannon. He did put extra distance on me though. I didn't want to dig a hole for myself like I did a couple weeks ago with Gary. I paid for it for the rest of that race. This time, I wanted to cap it around 320 watts for the first couple minutes. This way I could ease into the effort, even though this was more of a time trial style race. When we first started this race, we were about 8 bike lengths apart. Now it's the 2-minute mark, and you can see he's way the heck up there. I was starting to get nervous, but I was staying the course, because if I did anything else, into the hole I would go. At the 3-minute mark, we're now holding parity. My wattage now is ranging between 250 and 280 watts. Not by my choice, of course. Toward the beginning of this race interval, I mentioned where this was going to be done in COVID-like fashion. This means much more than the 8 bike length separation we had at the start. If the person in front knows or senses that someone is going to be passing them, they're supposed to go all the way to the right. The person doing the passing is supposed to go into the car lane to do it. These roads are wide and there's not a lot of traffic. Now back to the action. To get this close to my teammate has taken a lot of energy. I've been riding the fine line between aerobic and anaerobic death. More specifically, I've been spinning a higher cadence in an easier gear, and I keep doing that until I start to redline. Then I switch to a slightly bigger gear, I actually pick up speed, and I do that until I start to bog down. At this point, I figure I'm as close as I want to get to the COVID teardrop shape wake. I go out into the road, I look behind me actually, then I go out into the road and then I start to pass. When I got back into the lane, I was pretty gassed. I was waiting for a counterattack. The whole way up, I never looked back. I figured he was going to be right behind me ready to pounce. As it turned out, he never came around me again. On this first one, I took it, and I took it at a paltry 267 watt average. We spun around for 10 minutes after that, and then we did our second interval. He again started before me, and I held parity with him in the beginning. He thought I was going to pass him again around the 10-minute mark, but I never did. He won quite handily. I used up all my bananas in that first 20-minute interval. In fact, I finished this race at an even paltrier 230 watt average. On the way back, we pretty much treated it like two solo riders going back to our cars. We regrouped a couple times, but we kept our distance. The return being mostly downhill, Dave being a little heavier than me, and a pretty strong rider, he was pretty much out of sight. Still, when we got toward the flats, I wanted to see if I can actually catch him and then take him in the sprint. It took a lot of effort, and it felt like I was using the next day's bananas, but I got him in my sights. The problem was that I was running out of real estate.